Mackenzie and Ron are graphic designers and entrepreneurs based in New York City. Married in life and in business, they co-founded a graphic design company called Macaroni Creative, which specializes in the food and beverage industries. This is a deep dive into their creative process. What does like an average day look like? Time frame wise, like do you regularly get up, or do you kind of just like go with the flow?
We usually end up waking up probably around like 8 to 8:30 or something. We'll go walk the dogs. A lot of times we'll go to the gym, so we get a little bit of a later start. We'll probably start working around like 10 or something like that. And then from there it depends on the day. Sometimes it's just focused, head down, just designing things all day. Usually a true crime podcast going on in the background or some music.
Yeah.
But some days it's full of meetings. Some days it's full of admin things. Just writing proposals or different emails and things like that, contracts. And then it usually goes probably until about 5 o'clock where we go and walk the dogs again. Then we'll go and kind of unwind, have some dinner and stuff like that. But then a lot of nights too, we'll go and pick it back up from there. During the day, usually I go and work at my desk. And then like at night, we'll kind of chip away at things while we have like TV on the background and things like that. So it's a lot more casual, and it's not like that much pressure to go and get things done when we're working at night. But a lot of times we'll still chip away at things. Probably we're night owls, so we stay up probably until like 1 to like 3 a.m. most nights.
Yeah, we're definitely like, we always joke that we're more like nocturnal. Like getting up in the morning can definitely be a struggle, but we're definitely at night we're like usually going full steam. And I think it's nice too. Like, we're pretty big. I feel like we get a lot done nights and weekends because, like Ron said, during the day, you're dealing with a lot more emails and, like, clients are, calling. And there's, like, more kind of, like, you're more reactive, I guess. There's just more, needs that you can't really anticipate. But then at night and, like, on the weekends, like, no one's really bothering us. So then we can really just focus and kind of work at our own pace and, pretty much avoid interruption. So I think we try to, like, take advantage of that as much as we can. Like, not that we want to be working, like, round the clock necessarily, but I think that for us, that's, like, a nice time to just, like Ron said, kind of work casually without these, like, pressing timelines and things, and just kind of try to get ahead where possible, so.
Yeah, and I think a thing with the nighttime, too, that, might influence is, like I was saying, we did a lot of freelance work at night, so I don't know if just doing that for so many years kind of just trained us to be more creative during then, just kind of, usually I feel like I have a pretty good flow at night, so I don't know if the years of doing the nighttime freelance work has kind of, shaped that and kind of just, sculpted that into my workflow.
And do you do any like in-field research? Like, do you listen to any podcasts about graphic design stuff?
Yeah.
Or like...
Yeah, I definitely listen to a bunch of them. A lot now they're more on the business side of things. It kind of breaks down, running a studio or, just finding creativity and things like that. But, there's definitely a range of them that I'll listen to. Also some like times I'll go and listen to like talks or stuff like that from conferences. They'll put them on YouTube and I'll just kind of throw that on in the background. I used to listen to them a lot too when I worked in my full-time job. Kind of pumped me up for, going out and doing our own thing and just trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible. The business stuff really, helped me too, because obviously we've done the design stuff for a long time now, and the business stuff is newer, so that really interests me.
What are the podcasts that you'd recommend, like, to any other graphic designer?
Yeah, the one Perspective Collective podcast. It's this guy, Scotty Russell. We've met him a couple times, at different conferences and stuff like that. But they have different people on who he interviews and things like that. So that's more for creativity and things like that. There's another one called The Honest Designer Show, where it's like a group of people. I think some are from England, another one from like South Africa, and then there's another guy from like the U.S. But they kind of just have different topics that they go through each time, just give their different perspective. It's kind of just conversational, but it's interesting. They kind of give themselves a topic in the beginning, and then it kind of just flows from there. Another good resource is The Future. This guy Chris Do does it. A lot of like design business resources and things like that. Let's see. Yeah.
I actually don't really listen to design podcasts as much. I think, like Ron said, I think earlier in my career I did, but now I think just because we are so immersed in design, I feel like Ron said, I'm pretty like into true crime, so I feel like I listen to like a lot of like true crime podcasts, and I feel like that just like kind of helps the day go by quicker, and I don't know. I think it's for me, it's just we spend so much time like dealing with like the design and like the business. I think it's nice. It's like a nice little, I don't know, I guess side hobby. Is murder a side hobby? I don't know.
Makes you feel better about what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially you're working all day.
I can't really do it if I'm doing like again like that more like creative, like more demanding work. It's a little bit harder. Usually I have to be a little more focused. But when I'm doing something that's like a little bit more straightforward and mindless, it just, I don't know, it kind of helps me like unwind, and yeah, it makes the process more enjoyable, especially working like longer hours and stuff. So
Cool.
Yeah. This one though, I feel like especially if you've been reading a lot of business books, this is like a really good one. Because it's like kind of, I don't know, it's like almost exactly the creative's guide to building a business with impact.
Right.
But
I should probably read this one. Just managing our day to day.
yeah. And then yeah,
This one's really good too. It's like called freelance and business and stuff.
It's on this like other design studio. They're called like the Hoods. It's like Hood Spa. It's like these two. They have like a very, very similar business model to us. It's like these two sisters, and it's like just the two of them. And they like started out freelancing, but they've just like blown up. They're like really hot right now.
But this book has like a ton of like good stuff in it, like about like just like budgeting and like getting clients and contracts and like all that kind of stuff. Like they show you how to like make a budget, like, and it kind of breaks down like everything in there, like for you. Like it's pretty cool. Nice cool.
Any advice you'd give
stuff
to
like that.
anybody trying to do the same thing you guys are doing, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think early in your career, just kind of go with the flow and see where, your career takes you. I think a lot of people put pressure on, finding your style or, deciding exactly what you want to do from the beginning. And, I had a bunch of different jobs when since I graduated school. First, I started off with it was a medical simulation company. So I was like in the health field, kind of just doing this generic work, making these big backdrops, for nurses and stuff to practice on these like artificial like dummies that had these different like health problems. It was really obscure. Then from there I went to Timely Signs in Kingston, and I did a lot of signage work there. That taught me a lot. Then from there I went to a different company down here in the city, worked with a lot of tech companies, did PowerPoint decks, infographics, some logos, some websites, but it was all pretty tech. And then from there, obviously, as I explained before, did the Joe B stuff, and then got into the restaurant branding, and that really pulled me to, right now what we're doing, the food and beverage branding and packaging design. So it's like this obscure path, but, I can take all these different things that I've learned at each of these jobs, and, they've kind of sculpted me into the designer I am today. So, like, I can take things from my signage job where now we have to make, like, signage for a restaurant or, doing like window graphics or something like that. And I have a lot of knowledge of the production side of it and, kind of how that works. Or if we have to do an investor deck for, one of the packaging clients that we have now, I just have this like knowledge from a bunch of these different areas. And, if you ask me if I'd be doing packaging and like branding for food and beverage when, I graduated college, I'd be like, no way. I'd be like, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to do something with like tech or, magazines or maybe books or something like that. But it's just kind of shaped and moved along and, just keep on building on top of what you had before, and eventually you'll get to somewhere that you really like.
That's good advice.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off of what Ron was just saying, I think kind of every job you have, like, every job is going to have pros and cons, and, like, they're not all going to be, like, super glamorous, but I think just trying to have, like, a good attitude and, like, it sounds, like, cheesy, but just, like, really make sure you're working really hard and trying to take as much as you can out of every opportunity you have, because you never know when like that information or like the connections you're making at those jobs could be really valuable. Like there was one job I had in particular that I just really, really hated. It was like I really didn't enjoy anything about it, but some of the connections I made from that job have like circled back and like ended up being really good long-term connections and long-term friends, and like the information I got there, it was doing like a lot of, I was like barely designing. I was pretty much communicating with factories in China to get like packaging produced. And while it was not fun and it was really stressful, it definitely made me a lot more comfortable now, like working with manufacturers for like our own clients and things. So I think just trying to like recognize that, you know, if you have like a good attitude and try to just pull as much as you can out of the opportunities, it's going to, like, there are definitely times where you're going to want to just be like, I'm done with this, I quit, and just kind of give up. But just trying to kind of suck it up, and like you can keep pushing forward without, you know, and still appreciate, I guess, the opportunity that's in front of you.
Yeah.
It's based out of like LA. So like we'll go through here and just we'll kind of like come up with concepts in our head, and then you know, just find some inspiration that's like it. Like this one, they were kind of getting back to like, you know, traditional medicine and natural stuff. So we found all these cool like you know, old school packaging and things like that. And then there was like, she was talking about like the healing, the warming, like, you know, kind of sensation from like, you know, like I guess when you put it on the cream, it actually has like a bit of a warming sensation. It's from like Southern California, so they want like this like sunset stuff. So we kind of did that. I went through like the mood boards, and then like there's one that is a little bit more modern, like color blocking, and then like we kind of can usually after we go and do the mood boards, we'll compile the stuff that they liked into a new mood board. So it kind of has like some from like everything. And then like, you know, that's what some of our like art boards look like originally for it. And then like for like a round one presentation, they'll kind of look like this, where we, you know, pitch these different designs. We'll have like description for it and everything, and like show off the logo.
Any other stuff extra about the creative process in general? You guys covered a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for us is, you know, while being creative, you know, the main thing with what we do is like solving problems and, you know, really trying to help our clients achieve their goals. So, you know, not kind of just doing whatever you think looks the best. It's kind of, you know, having a reason for it, and, you know, make sure you kind of keep that in mind while you're going through the creative process.
Yeah, and I think too, kind of like not letting your like creativity, there's like a fine line between your own like personal like taste and like creativity, but like kind of recognizing that external opinions are all like valid. I think I see a lot of designers who get really frustrated when like they get feedback that they don't agree with, and they don't necessarily handle like constructive criticism that well. But like, you know, your client's opinion, like pretty much anyone else's like external opinion, it's all valid, and like that doesn't necessarily mean you should change your work to like accommodate that. But I think just, you know, kind of taking that information and kind of making smart, informed decisions using that information, and trying to like kind of be open to that, because I think it's really easy to go down, especially now, like in different design inspiration is so readily available. There's so many, like, you know, Dribble, like Instagram, Behance, like so many sites where you're just kind of regurgitating like the same, you know, design stuff over and over. I think it can be really helpful too to kind of, you know, get that outside perspective from people who aren't designers, who, you know, are still smart and have, provide value. So.
Yeah. And in the end, that's who's going to see it, is people who aren't designers. You know, sometimes you get caught in this little bubble of, you know, the design world, or, you know, the art or creative world. But, you know, the things that you're designing for are going to be seen by everyone. So you need to have that in mind. And, you know, you shouldn't let that hinder you. Like, even if there's, you know, boundaries or constraints on what you're working on, you should kind of use that to propel yourself, and, you know, use that as information instead of, you know, restrictions.